Welcome to Invitation to the Cookout, where good people, good vibes, and good conversations always have a seat at the table. Hey, today we got one that's near and dear to both of our hearts, but before we get there, we got to handle house business. Go ahead, Dom.
Y'all already know, man. Go hit that like, share, subscribe button. Hey, turn on them notifications. What we say, each one reach one. What you tell them?
Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Yeah, tell a friend to tell a friend, man. And whether you listening to us on Spotify, Apple, or watching us on YouTube, hey, we appreciate you accepting our invitation to the cookout. Yeah, now let's get into it.
Look, that's real. Yeah. I like that. That's so real.
Hey, I'm about to tell y'all, this one right here, it's gonna be some energy on this one. So just be ready, because we about to cut up in here today, man. I feel it already.
Yeah. The origin of this relationship
Go ahead, give it to me, Dom.
So we all used to work together in supplier diversity and inclusion for Walmart, and we had Michael Byron, who hired all three of us on one of our episodes, which, hey, y'all check that episode out too earlier this year. Yes. But even before me and Mark started working together, we were actually college teammates at the U of A. But then also a little known too, I helped end Mark's high school basketball career. Our senior year, we played in the state tournament. They
always got to tell this story. Listen, some stories don't need to be told, but it's okay. Don't talk your talk, dog. Don't do that.
We were underdogs. They had the names. We had the names that they had. But we pulled it out. It was a good game, though. It was.
Was it though?
It was.
It was close. It was a close game. I don't know about a good game.
Okay,
it was an ugly game.
It was ugly.
Y'all made it ugly.
Yeah.
Man, it was 35-34.
Yeah, we made it ugly.
Final score?
35-34. Bro, they had a 2-3 packed in, bro. So, I had to play for Coach Flanagan, man. One of the greats, God bless Coach Flanagan, rest in peace. But, man, Coach Flanagan was stubborn. It was his way or the highway. So, big fella, you can't come off the block, right?
Yeah.
They just packed it in and made other folks shoot and beat us. And man, I missed a good number of free throws too. It was a.
We didn't have a side. It was you. It was Jamal.
Yeah.
Like our probably tallest person was maybe 6'4". You know what I'm saying? We weren't big, and they weren't like big. Like they were just tall and lanky. Yeah. Mark and them had some size on them too, and so it's like, we got to play zone.
Shout out to y'all coach, because even when we did make a couple shots, they stuck to the game.
Yeah, they didn't panic.
They didn't panic. They stuck to it. They made a decision. We are not going to dominate them in the paint, and they stuck with it. The great game plan. That was my last high school basketball game, man. Camden Fairview.
Send them home, man.
Think about it, we had went to the championship game 2 years in a row. Won one, lost by one next one. We thinking we finna get back. We finna play North Little Rock, West Memphis. Like, our mind is there. We got Camden Fairview the first game.
Yeah. Oh, we got this house money.
Yeah. And they came out there, man. 35-34, I think, was the final score.
Made it ugly,
They made it ugly.
I'm not gonna I will give you credit, man, but he was stubborn too, bro. My high school coach was stubborn too. But by the way, hey, we're just jumping in to chop it up today. We just catching up. As a matter of fact, man, let's catch up a little bit. Like, I know we've all left Walmart. I'm working for a supplier now, doing some consulting stuff. Mark, what you got on your plate these days?
So, man, I left Walmart in summer of 2024. After being with Walmart almost 12 years, and then in that time with Walmart, doing everything from transportation, logistics, supply chain, working in supplier inclusion, working with procurement, merchandising, global sourcing, which ended up being sourcing, Walmart International, which I think we all spent some time there. But when I left Walmart, I started doing the nonprofit thing, working with NMSDC, National Minority Supplier Development Council. I started off doing some consulting work with them, a liaison between the corporates and them. And after about 6 months, they wanted to bring me on permanently. So I took that role, Senior Director of Global and Corporate Partnerships. And in a nutshell, I worked with our global team and our global partners. There's 8 strategic partners across the globe that we work with, building that, started an advisory council there. Also led their industry groups. There's about 17 there. Did a lot of different things there. And then earlier this year, really kind of leaned into a business that I started in 2023. So in 2023, I started Marc Winston Enterprise LLC, founder and CEO of that. So I started it because I was doing like speaking engagements and things like that, and just helping people with some consultations on best practices. But, I was still leaning into Walmart. But when I left that, I was able to really lean into Marc Winston Enterprise. So I'm still doing that. And what we do at Marc Winston Enterprise is really a well-rounded thing of business and sports, where we focus on helping companies and corporations in business development. So partnering and matching up the right people for business, companies with producers and manufacturers or whatever the suppliers, whatever they may be. But then there's also the best practices that we do consultation with. And I say we, it's me. And then I have a couple people help me out here and there. So it's really just me doing this. So sometimes my capacity is thin. But helping people with supply chain and procurement best practices. But then the new thing that I've gotten into in the past year is the NIL space. Being a guy who played sports his whole life, played football and basketball all the way up through college, had a couple at a couple camps in professionally. I see this lane as something I can really give back and help athletes with. So trying to help them navigate this space from recruiting to the NIL space of getting paid. And what I like to focus on with the athletes is this. Yes, everyone's going to get that collective signing bonus when you sign that letter of intent. But what about the actual endorsement deals? What about the branding? I think that's the part of NIL that people don't talk about. There's very few athletes that are actually leveraging their name, image, and likeness for endorsements. And that's the space with me coming from the business side, working with marketing, working with all these different people. Yeah, let's get that side too. And so I've been doing that. And then just recently starting to work with a couple other companies here and there, working with on-track logistics and procurement and purchasing. So man, like I said, staying busy, ripping and running, trying to keep my hand in different things. But I tell you one last thing that I really love to do, and I've been doing it for some years now, is I'm very engaged in youth sports. I've really been on the EYBL circuit for about 4 years now, mostly in Texas with Pro Skills, Houston Hoops, and just recently AB Elite, Anthony Black's organization. So, man, my thing is whether I'm on the bench or whether I'm just there in the mentor state or recruiting state of it, just being in that youth sports space, man, that competition, and as I say, scratching that competitive itch of mine, which I think we'll get into for sure.
Oh, yeah.
All right, look, well, we're going to jump into this great segue, man. It's what I like to call,
what's on the grill?
What's on the grill? The meat and potatoes of the show, man. We're going to talk about how in the Black community, sports is our identity early on. We're going to talk about, man, that ball stopped bouncing at one point. You're off the field at some point, and like, what's that transition, that mental state when it ends, and then how do you rebrand yourself from being an athlete all these years to now, who am I? And there's a couple nuggets that we want y'all to put on y'all to-go plate, man, when y'all leave. So we're gonna dive right into it. From my perspective, and I'm gonna pitch it to y'all. I feel like we talk about youth sports being a catalyst to teach perseverance, hard work, communication, teamwork, all those things. But I feel like it gets overshadowed in our community or even lower poverty communities as a way out. And it's not used as the vessel of teaching these kids these things. Hey, you going to the league, man. You finna get us out the hood. And so I feel like your identity is based on praise or what you do versus who you are. And I want to get y'all thoughts on that. Like, how do y'all see it?
And I think for me, it's two things. You're 100% spot on. I think still to this day, I have a little fun thing I do with my kids where, I'm just, man, who want to go to college? How many hands you think go up?
All of them.
Who want to go pro? How many hands you think go up?
All of them.
Everyone.
And so it's, it's one of those things where it's, I remember having a lot of those talks growing up, and a lot of it was just about the statistics, right? The stats of, how many come from high school that come to D1, to here and there. But, for me, I think the way that I really try to approach it is I'm always talking to them about the translation of what they enjoy to how those become life skills, right? And so what I like to do in my practices is it's a word of the day. Right. And then I give them a quote. So the word of the day could be perseverance. The word of the day could be commitment. So those are things that, yes, they pertain to sports, but they also pertain to to life, right? Like, hey, what happens when you don't get the promotion that you think you should have got that somebody else got, right? That's that's the same thing as when, like, man, coach say here are the starters, but you not one of the starters.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? Do you just fold up, or do you say, hey, I'm going to push through this? Like, hey, when you got a job, you got to be committed to it. When you got a family, you got to be committed to, hey, these are things that I need to do every day. So really trying to get them to understand, like, hey, this isn't just about ball. You know, you hear people say, like, this is bigger than ball, right? Like, and because, hey, let's say you do go D1. Yeah. Let's say you do go pro. I think you and I have talked about it. The amount of years that you're going to do that, if we take just life expectancy versus what you're going to do the other 2/3 or 3/4 of your life, you're still going to have a something, and we'll get into it with Mark, where it's like, okay, well, what do you do? Okay, I've went pro, I've made the money, I've gotten the praise and adoration. Now I'm 32 and I'm retired. Yeah. What you going to do with the rest of your life? So I do think that, really trying to continue to massage with them, the pieces around that. And it is hard because I think there's a lot of hyper focus, like, everyone has a trainer now, and everyone's training 2 to 3 times a week, and they got their highlights, and nothing against trainers. Nothing against trainers at all. I'm not saying that. I got my guy.
I train too.
I have love for that, but it's also hard. It's one of those old school phrases where it's like, hey, I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, because it's like, if you're doing that so much, the question is, how can you not let that become your identity if you're waking up and getting up 1,000 shots, and you going and you weightlifting, and then you got practice after that? It's hard to separate those two when you're putting so much time into that.
So I'm gonna get your opinion. I'm gonna jump in and give you my opinion on how that. But you go ahead.
So I think y'all nailed it, man. The biggest thing with families, and specifically in the Black community, is we view sports as the way out. It's not just a hobby or an extracurricular activity. We view it as, oh, this could change the family, or that boy gonna take care of his mama, or this kid here, he gonna be the one. And we start to put those tags on early.
And pressure
early. And to your point, it becomes the identity. It becomes, hey, this is who I am. I'm the guy that when I do this, people give me praise. And like I said, it's the access, it's the opportunity that is viewed. Like, if he does this and if he excels in sports, we'll be here. We made it, this, that, and the other. When, don't get me wrong, that's okay. But to your point, your identity becomes when the crowd is cheering, when people are patting you on the back, that's who I am. And I think one of the biggest things that I try to impute to all the kids that I come across is that ball will stop bouncing. And at the end of the day, when it stopped bouncing, what is your plan B? And we've all heard people say, I ain't got no plan B. I just got plan A. I got to make this work. Okay.
Sound good.
Sounds fantastic.
That's okay. But the challenge is not, when the ball stopped bouncing, that's not really the challenge. It's part of it. But the real challenge is, what do I do when ain't nobody clapping for me no more?
And so that's why I was saying that your identity starts getting tied to praise.
Yes.
And what you can do. To answer your question, yes, like, how does that not become my identity when all I'm doing is, like you said, working out and practicing and doing those things? And I try to tell my kids, it's really about who you becoming. Let's not tie it to how many points I'm getting out of this, how many minutes I'm getting, how many scholarship offers I'm getting. But who am I becoming as a person when it comes to work ethic, consistency, discipline? Because that's the habits you're really building.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the habits that you're going to need to be a husband or a wife, or when you just get a job or a father. Is those consistent habits. 100%. So it's not about, hey man, all right, bet if I'm working out 3-4 times a week, this needs to translate to me scoring 20, 25, or us winning so many games. Because if that's what you're tying it to, when you're not when you're losing, you finna fold. And we all know as men, or just adults in general, you're gonna face failures, whether that's at home, whether that's at work. And it's like, if I'm only been taught to show up and work hard if I get a certain outcome. Then you're going to start working hard.
Yeah. No,
That's a great point, man, because I was privileged enough when I was younger. My uncle coached at Grambling State. So I was around the late, great Eddie Robinson. Wow. I was around Doug Williams. We're talking about early 90s, so I'm still a young kid, but I have a T-shirt in a frame right now. It's a Grambling State homecoming T-shirt, and Eddie Robinson signed it, but he put a message on there. He said, football teaches the lessons of life. Wow. And man, that's one of the realest statements ever, because to your point, it's a skill set to be determined, to be disciplined, to bounce back after a bad play, to put that structure into your life, to prepare for games, to prepare for practice, to take care of your body, to be on time to meetings, to avoid disciplined actions, to make sure I'm accountable for my role on this play, my role on this team. Those are skill sets that we build in sports. But what we don't realize and what we don't tell kids enough is that those skill sets don't just end when you stop playing ball. You take those skill set and you transfer them to the real world. Yeah. So football, basketball, sports does teach the lessons of life. Get back up and try again and all that other stuff. And you got me on this one, but I come back. A bad game, bounce back with a good game. It's the same thing in life, whether it's dealing with your family, where you're going to have moments. Sometimes you and your kid ain't going to see eye to eye, but how do you prepare and come back and have a better day? I might not have performed well on this assignment at work, but how do I come back and have a better production? So those things, and I try to tell kids, use those skill sets. They apply in the classroom. They apply in life. Yeah. So use sports as a tool. But again, we don't really see it like that. We think, hey, can we change the trajectory of our family and make a living?
Now, since we talked about changing trajectory, I wouldn't know big time recruiter. I wouldn't even know small time recruiter. This guy right here, though. Yeah. Look, matter of fact, I'm gonna let him talk about some of the offers he has. Yeah. And then what made him choose the college he chose. And then we'll dive into that a little bit. So go ahead, man. Recruiter, decorator guy.
Man, I haven't really told this story a lot, man, but coming out of high school, I went to Little Rock Parkview, and I was highly recruited in both football and basketball. And I was a top 5 tight end in the country, one of the top 20 players in the country at some point in basketball. Then once I kind of got later on, I kind of dropped a little bit because I'm 6'7". I kind of became average height in basketball, but I was still one of the top 10 forwards in the country. I had some success there. So coming out of high school, man, I had well over 30, close to 40 offers in both sports. In football, my final 4 was Arkansas, Florida, Duke, Stanford. Alabama was right there at 5, Virginia Tech at 6. So I kind of narrowed it down to those based on personnel reasons. I had Florida in football, Arkansas in football because of the sports leagues. But then I had the academics of Duke and Stanford just because, you got to consider those. Basketball, my final 5 was Ole Miss, Georgia Tech, Kansas, Southern Illinois, and Illinois. Okay. And at the time, all those big names I just named in basketball, Southern Illinois was the biggest.
Hometown.
It was the best fit for me because of that style of play. But I was enamored with those names, man. And so it was hard. You're talking about a 17-year-old kid, not only having to choose a college, which sport. In football, which side of the ball, because I played some of everything. Alabama wanted me to be defensive end. Stanford and Arkansas and Florida wanted me to be tight end. So I had to make crazy decisions, man. And actually, not a lot of people know this. On my visit, January 16, 2004, I committed to Florida. Dwayne Dixon was the inside receivers coach who coached tight ends. On the way to the airport after my exit meeting, I committed in the car. Yeah. And he was like, man, we ain't got to tell nobody. You can still take your visits and all that stuff. Like, hey, Dwayne Dixon, man, that was my guy, man. And I committed to him. But then the next week I had Alabama visit, and then I had an Arkansas visit after that. But then right after my Arkansas visit, I got a call that Coach Zook was going to get fired. Some people that were on the board were cool with me, and I had met them. They had actually Arkansas that was there. So I was kind of like, man, I'm scared of what that's going to be. Now, nobody told me there was no crystal ball to say Urban Meyer was coming. Yeah. So I didn't know that part. But I was like, man, you know what? I'm going to go to the hometown. At the time, I had some family members that were not in great health. I wanted them to see me. Okay. I ended up coming to Arkansas, man, and that decision was hard. Even the football, basketball decision was hard. I remember Duke's coach, Coach Ted, got his last name. But anyway, he called me, man, and he was so hurt that I didn't come. Coach Dixon in Florida, man, he wrote me a calligraphy handwritten letter afterwards. Wow. I don't know if you remember this. We played Florida our freshman year in the swamp. Yeah. After the game, Coach Dixon comes, they beat us. Coach Dixon comes across the field, daps me up, hugs me. He said, Mark, pray with us. And so I go on the field. Now my team just lost, so everybody's walking off. Man, listen, there's 105 blue jerseys and 1 white jersey, just because that's how much love Florida had for me, man. And I had a great time, credit Channing Crowder, D. Webb, Chris Leak, all that, that team. And the guys I came down there with, Cornelius Ingram, CI, was a big time player down there. So, man, it was good family stuff. But, man, to your point, when you're young, the pressure, the hype. Yeah. And back then, all we had was magazines and newspapers. I didn't have social media to go and just
none of us did.
And put my flicks up. Like, I would have been crazy. I would have been crazy. Listen, it would have been out of here because we didn't have a strong market in Arkansas. It wasn't a big market. I remember in basketball, Slam magazine, when it came out, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And Marvin Williams, who played with Seattle Rotary Select from Seattle, had a column in Slam magazine, every edition. I was so jealous. Because I had played Marvin probably about 5 times. I never scored less than like 23, 24 against. I always had great showings against Marvin. And he was the top 5 in the country. And I put in work against Marvin every time. Houston, Atlanta, Indianapolis, LA, like we put in work against him. But here he is with a column. It's all because of the media presence that they have there versus here. Sure. So we didn't have that, but I still felt that pressure to put Arkansas on my back, to put my city on my back. And to your point, like we talked about, it becomes that praise. Hey, Mark gonna put on.
He gonna
Mark show up. I was in Kansas City after the Kansas City Keys game, and the reporter asked me, like, hey, you guys come out, and how do you feel coming from Arkansas and not getting? I said, listen. We gotta let people know every chance we get that these down south dirty boys can play. That's the type of chip I had on my shoulder. My father said, well, why would you say that silly stuff? I was like, man, just let it know. Like me and Brett Smith from Warren, man, who ended up going to Tennessee to play, man. But like, we used to have this chip on our shoulder. The first time I went to Adidas camp, Adidas All-American camp in New Jersey, Teaneck, New Jersey, man, like it was a pressure. Like, people had told me what to expect, but when you walk in there, you see Sebastian Telfair, LeBron James, Charlie Villanueva, everybody. Yeah. It's unreal. And there's nothing like it. But to your point, I got this bravado of I'm this and I'm that. I got to go show out. Yeah. And so that type of energy, it stays in you and you stay competitive. Yeah, sure. But what I've been able to do, luckily, based on having parents who always told me to prepare for life after ball, I took that same competitiveness that I'm talking about now, that rah-rah I'm talking about now, and I put it into the workforce.
And before we get there, I'm gonna ask you guys a question, because you just pointed out we didn't have the social media pressure.
We didn't even have YouTube.
These kids have now.
Literally, it was Slam, man.
Yeah. How do you help kids navigate the pressure of, because everybody's just putting up their highlights on IG, on social media. They're not putting up their failures. So all kids are seeing is other kids from across the country, quote unquote, being great.
Yeah.
And they feel like they got to compete with that. How do y'all mentor kids in that aspect of just being you? Don't worry about nobody else.
I think for me, I'm a fan of transparency. I'm a fan of probably a little more old school. Like, there's times where I got love and respect, and I'll joke with the kids, but I understand my assignment is not to be their friends, right? Like, because it's rough out here. So it's like if I don't use what I've learned and what I've been through, then I'm doing you a disservice to not kind of, help you get through those pieces. And I think, my dad has always taught me about coaching is really just teaching. Coaching is teaching. And so whether it's about basketball or it's about life, this past weekend we were in the league that we were in for the 6th graders. They had their championship stuff going on. And ironically enough, it was my own son. And he just, was getting mad about no calls. Yeah. And so I was like, you need to fix your body language. Yeah. So he kind of got a little attitude. Now he's one of my better players. Yeah. And he's my son. But I was like, no, we ain't doing that. Come on.
Yep.
And he sat probably the last 9 minutes of the second half in a close game.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he wasn't happy about it. And some of the players and parents weren't happy about it. Like, hey, we had a shot to win. But I'm like, what I'm trying to teach is bigger than a championship on a Saturday in May in 2026.
Yeah. At that age, for sure.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to teach is like, hey, we talked about this adversity. Hey, things not going, and my parents used to say, life ain't fair.
Yeah.
So things are not always going to go your way. How you respond to that is important. And being a role model and being a leader, if people look up to you as that, whether it's in your family, whether it's on your team, you have a responsibility to show up in a certain way. So I think some of it is taking those opportunities, not letting those opportunities where they have low lights go by, but also helping them, teach them about, hey, this is, I'm talking to you right now, not because of just this, but because this is where this translates, like Mark says, into other areas of life. And I think you have to have that assignment. And we were kind of talking about this before the camera start rolling. What I have an issue is you got a lot of people that are creeping into youth sports that have the wrong intentions.
Yes.
And it's always been like that. You got the handlers and like, hey, I want to be, hey, Big Marc Winston, he the next one up. Like, hey, I need him. Hey, I need a bag. If he get a bag, I need a bag too. Yeah. So people's intentions are wrong versus like many of us, I think, could all talk about youth coaches from growing up that had a impact on our lives. And they could have just been a neighborhood mechanic. They could have been a pastor. They could have been a barber, but they genuinely just wanted to help the next generation of youth.
Yeah. That's real, man. Like, to that point, the coaches we had back then usually had other careers.
That's what I'm saying.
There were blue collar, some white collar, but they getting off a hard day's work going to the gym to show up for practice. And they on the court and they boots and they patch with their name on the type of stuff.
All of that.
To your point, to keep these kids grounded and keep it realistic, it's the transparency. Yeah. And I think I learned it from my father because he coached me for a time and he was always my biggest cheerleader. Yeah. But he was extremely loud as my biggest critic. And that's how I handle the kids I talk to now. Like, don't get me wrong. When you're doing well, I got my towel, I'm swinging it, I'm hooting, I'm hollering. Everybody in the gym gonna know we kill it. Yeah. But when you mess up, I'm gonna address you with that same energy. I've got to make sure that you don't get an unrealistic perception of what success is, an unrealistic expectation of how people will handle you because you're the star or you're good. You have to be held accountable, especially in that prep youth sports, because what people don't realize, when you get to college, those coaches' paychecks and they feed their family off of you.
I tell you what, come on. Speaking of, hey, now you were highly recruited, man. They winding down. You know what I'm saying?
I know Mark got some good recruiting stories.
But I'm not even gonna get in there. But I'm talking about, but I'm talking about like once you get on campus,
it's different.
And you in that meeting room and the film come on,
it's different.
So everybody follow Coach. Y'all probably seen Coach 30 film sessions. The guy on YouTube or IG. Yeah, that's how.
That's realistic. Listen, when you are getting recruited, you are the golden child. I've never seen them frown. I've never seen them. The only person I think that had the most realistic conversation in my living room was Coach Zook. He had some real conversation. But everybody else, and I had a lot of people, man, they tell you the greatest thing since sliced bread. They tell you how amazing you are, how they love. They walking around, they just smiling, patting you on the back. It's the Key and Peele type of deal. Yeah, what's up? Then you enroll. Yeah. And then you get on campus. And then you in practice. And they're gonna call you everything but a child of God.
Yeah. To that, we talked about identity. Some kids, and I've seen it when I was on campus. Like, I seen it. Some guys, you've always been praised and you've been the top dog, just naturally better. Now you're on campus with other people who are either equal or greater athletes than you. And you're not getting praised anymore.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
How do you help them handle that? Because you have experience, like you said, like tell us about, because you started your career at the University of Arkansas, but you didn't finish there. Yeah. So tell a little bit about that.
So I'll say this, man. It's the thing that I say I learned. Now, my father, my uncle, my circle, they did a good job preparing me for college life as a whole.
Okay.
You know, especially academically, because my father was all Southwest Conference athletically, and he was always All-American academically too. So they prepared me for that, you know, dress nice, sit in the front 2 rows, be attentive, make sure you're on class. I set my class up a certain way. What they don't prepare you for is when those pat on the backs come a finger in the face or a grab of the face mask or a strong correction. And so it's tough for kids to deal with that, man. Yeah. In high school, you're 4-star, you're top 5, you're top 10, and you get nothing but praise. But to have somebody else come tell you that you're not doing well or to see yourself not performing up to that level, it's tough. And there's no gooby dust or magic approach to it. You have to just look inside and surround yourself with people who will keep you motivated, but also keep it real with you. And what we learn as athletes is a lot of people kind of start to celebrate us and identify us as these athletes before they really know who we are. And they're praising us and celebrating us based on what we do instead of who we are. We see it all the time. A kid comes in, he's a 5-star, he gets all the praise, he has a good game, everybody's high. ESPN is here, the fan base, he can't get out the locker room without signing 200 autographs. But you fumble that ball, cost that game, or you miss that free throw to cost that game. And then you go to Twitter and you go to the internet or whatever, and it's a totally different perception because people don't really care about the person all the time from the outside looking in.
Yeah, for sure.
It's based on what you do. So as a player, to your point, we start to identify as people like me when I perform, if I do well. But then the counter side of that is when I'm not doing well and there's not those handshakes and those pat on the back, and that a lot of people, it can be internally tough. It could be something that you struggle with, and mental health starts to play a role at that time. At that point, now you're looking at yourself as, am I really good enough? Am I really who they thought they are? And then you have that imposter syndrome. And me coming from Little Rock, playing on the circuit in basketball, being the man in football, playing every position, to now playing behind a senior and a junior, not getting the reps or taking all the reps all week for the game against Texas, just to not play in the game. Because the senior who we thought was hurt is going to play in the game now. So while I took all those interviews, all those number 1 reps, get ready to play against the number 1 team in University of Texas, Vince Young, Cedric Benson, to get to the game and not play. Man, it hurt. It hurt me, man. It hurt me. And I didn't know how to handle that. Me and my coach, I kind of lashed out at my coach about it. Like, you know, because I felt used. I felt this. Because again, all week long, it was here. Marc Winston gets his first start in college. He's going to be number 1 team. I'm ready. But to get there and be let down, nobody teaches you how to talk about that.
Man, I'm of course, my experience is completely different. But we talk about imposter syndrome. Like, I walked on. And the only reason why I walked home, and I had a couple guys who was going to play college ball elsewhere, so I worked out with them all summer. So I was still in some type of shape. But then when I made the team, I didn't feel like I belonged because I wasn't recruited. You know what I'm saying? So it's like now, and you start to think about, man, do I do extra work? Because like, what am I going to be looked at? And trying to do extra work. Like, bro, you don't even play. You know what I'm saying? You this or you that. Why are you doing extra? You know what I mean? And so I shied away from it. And so now I try to tell kids about it. Doesn't matter who you going up against. Or, like, you worry about you. And be weird. I was like, if people want to be like, bro, you trying to be coach's pad teacher. But no, I am trying to get better. I'm trying to be the best version of myself. Because you can say, because I tell them, you're going to have jobs where you're going to have one-on-one with your coaches, with your bosses or whatever. And you're going to be asking them, hey, what can I do better?
100%.
Regardless. And so I shied away from working hard and just wanted to be, I was just happy to be there.
It's content.
All these big name guys and these top recruits, I'm just happy to be in the locker room with them. I'm happy now that they gave me a meal plan to eat with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just happy to be there versus, no, I can play some special teams. You know what I'm saying? Back then we played bumper run. But I told myself I didn't have the speed to play that versus, hey, how can I work to get a little bit faster? Maybe I can work on my jam technique to where I might not be the fastest, but if I can get my hands on you a lot better, I might be able to play or nickel package, man. Like just playing some type of zone coverage. But I didn't tell myself those things because I had imposter syndrome from the flip side of I didn't think I was good enough.
Now you talking about the Arkansas journey where at what point I'm assuming you had some type of pro aspirations.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, man. I thought I was going pro from the time I was like 15, 16,
okay.
Man. You
All
know,
right.
I had an uncle who played, 11, 12 years in the league. So you think that's the thing that you're gonna do. More than anything, that's what people are telling you.
Right.
That's what people are putting on you. Yeah. And you start to identify with not just who you are, you start to identify yourself with who am I supposed to be based on what other people are saying. So you don't even view yourself sometimes through your own eyes. Yeah. You view yourself through the eyes of others, fans, media, peers,
what they're saying,
classmates, people in the hallways. You start to identify as that. Yeah. So it goes back to what you say. Now it's like, am I getting too comfortable? But also, am I really who they say I am?
Right.
Am I living up to the hype? Yeah. And sometimes, it wasn't my case, but I've seen it. People stop doing the work because the praise is so high. And I tell people the same thing. Like you said, don't be too cool to put in the extra work, to ask what I need to do. Yeah. Flip that in the classroom. Don't be too cool because I'm the Razorback, top signee guy here to go to those extra hours for the professor and ask for help. Don't be afraid to go to the study groups and ask for help. So everything we do in the sports world is reciprocal and a mirror image of what you do outside the court or the field. And to your point, man, I thought I had aspirations, but then when you start to go and finish your career and it doesn't happen, like I left the University of Arkansas after 3 offensive coordinators in 2.5 years. I ended up going to the University of Central Arkansas, where I played for Clint Conk. But I also played for Rand Chapel in basketball. I had a chance to play football and basketball at the University of Central Arkansas, which I was supposed to do at Arkansas. That story is quick. Supposed to play for Stan Heath too. Went to practice for a couple of practices, and Coach Nutt came and said, hey, I want you to go through this off-season workout. Need to get you bigger, faster, stronger, and all that stuff. So that didn't come out. Another hit to the ego. Yeah. Another hit to the psyche. Yeah. Because you told me I could play both. Everywhere I went, all those schools I named, the deal was I'm playing both. Okay. I go, and now you renege on that. That's another hit to the psyche. Yeah, was like, dang, am I not that guy? Like, what you mean? Like, is it not this? And it just hurts because I had this plan. I thought I was going to be blah, blah, blah.
And to layer that, we had a teammate that was doing both.
Oh,
same age.
Yeah. And so Mark came out, and he a wide receiver. He ain't got to be in the weight room as much as I was in the weight room. I came in, man, I was 235. I got to 260 my freshman year. Okay. After they decided to redshirt me after that conversation, after that Texas game. Although they tried to break my redshirt a couple times. But then, I'm 260. They wanted me to be big Jason Peters. They wanted me to be a tight end that would go in and block and be this big, strong guy. So he wanted me to go through the offseason. When I'm on football scholarship, I respect it. Yeah. I transfer after I realized this system ain't for me. Yeah. Go to UCA. Rand Chapel finds me on campus the first day I step on campus and says, hey, I want you to play basketball. I remember you. And I played both, had a great time. Wow. But even then, to your point, you get to the end of your career and you have Steve Jones tell you, hey, if you're there in the 4th round, we're going to take you. You have Coach Sanders down in New Orleans. Hey, if you're there here, we're going to take you. Yeah. And so you sitting there with your family and everything, you watching the names, and then your name don't get called. Yeah. Again, that identity crisis is the biggest hit ever. And I tell people, it's hard for athletes to transition out of that limelight, but still watch the game. Some of the hardest things I had to do was watch the game, seeing people that I know I outperform head to head. Yeah, get that opportunity. I stopped watching the NFL for years. And even now, I don't really watch the NFL. You saying that. I don't really watch the NFL because, man, it became a pattern to me because it was hard for me to watch defensive ends and linebackers that I dominated play. Even basketball, it's hard for me to watch the NBA because I was watching the Marvin Williams go get drafted number two in the draft, and I know the work I put in. It's hard for me to go see Charlie Villanueva thriving in Detroit when I know what I did against him in Adidas camp. Big Baby Davis, we went at it. I know what we did. First of all, shameless plug, class of 2004 is the greatest high school basketball class ever.
I hear a lot of y'all say that. I've heard that on other podcasts too.
I know 95 was this and 96 was that. 2004 is the greatest high school class ever. We had 9 NBA players come out of high school and get drafted, 8 of those in the first round. I'm saying, just numbers don't lie. But back to the story. It's hard to identify yourself as success when you're seeing people that you may have outperformed get the opportunities you didn't get. So another hit to your psyche. And I'm gonna tell you, if you don't do the work internally to really go back to your roots, go back to your core, go back to your teachings, your upbringing.
Wow.
And we've talked about it before, like you said in your opening, college is 4 to 5 years of your life. With a life expectancy of 70, 80 years. And we had coaches that I never agreed with this. I remember sitting in the room and you know exactly what I'm talking about. These are the best days of your lives. Not really. Are they great days? Yes. But you're going to have days as a grown man where you're going to have children. You're going to meet your wives. You're going to get married.
You know, and I know what coach you're talking about. And I think what
Houston damn nut. I say it. Houston damn nut.
So my guy, HD, look, shout out to Coach, man. Coach looked out for a walk-on, bro, who got put on academic probation a couple times, brought me back out. I remember one time, man, the first time I came back out after couldn't be around the team for the fall just because I didn't have the grades and I came back to spring. Clap it up for me a bit. Like, he showed me a lot of love, but I think what he was saying when he was saying best days of your life, what he meant was we're going to school. We have responsibility to lift weights, play football, but I think he's saying there's no other pressures as far as some of them had kids, but like no kids, no wife, that type of pressure.
Your type of life.
That real, like, but to this conversation that we're having, there still was pressure of, I gotta make it. Because my whole family back home is dependent on me. So I think he was thinking, because I know he grew up in Little Rock and stuff like that, but from our community, and I don't know his whole background, but there's still pressures because Marc Winston might not have family back home depending on him to make it to the league, but countless others on our team.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so it's really not the best day because they're already feeling the pressure that grown men that we feel as husbands and fathers to produce for our families.
That's a good point.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I think that's what his perspective was.
I can give credit to that.
Yeah.
I can give credit because I think when you put it in perspective and me sitting in that seat in the team meeting room, I knew that the great part about these 4 or 5 years is it's a safe haven.
Yeah.
My schedule is determined for me, where I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to do. Every workout, every practice, every class is laid out for me. The only thing I got to do is be responsible enough to get up and show up. So that case, it's the best days of our lives.
I think that's the perspective he was coming from.
But the reality is, the conversations I've had with my teammates since then, when I look online now and see my teammates, most of them are still living in those 4 to 5 years. The reason they're living in those 4 to 5 years, there wasn't the preparation for when that ball stops. I didn't get the degree. I didn't network. I didn't find out what I wanted to do when I had the opportunity to do so. I tell people all the time, and I've told people recently, when you're in college, most colleges have career days, job fairs. They have resources in the business school where you can go and find and connect with companies before you leave. My father had 5 job offers before he stepped off campus. So he told me about these things. I had the privilege to have someone who'd been there tell me, go to the job fair, show up, meet people, get the business cards while you're there in this safe haven that we talked about, where the responsibility isn't here yet. The bills aren't there yet. You know, the kids planning and stuff not there yet. So while you're in this safe haven, go and start to network. And I tell kids now, when you go to college, use it to set yourself up for the rest of your life. Not just sports wise, but who are my peers that are going to be successful? Can I get a network? Who are the people who have job offers? Can I get a network? And it's leveraging those. But those people that sat in that room with me and heard that message, majority of them didn't get that. And when they come out of that, now they're struggling because they're still caught up in when they were clapping.
Glory days,
when they were cheering. But now that they're not cheering, who am I?
Because go ahead.
So, 2-part question. How long do you feel like it truly took you to kind of come out of that post-sports haze and be like, okay, I am Marc Winston, I am this, and this is what we're going to do? And then what were some of the things that you really implemented to get there in that journey? Because I would imagine around that time as well, there weren't a lot of people talking about mental health and the importance of it. So there are probably less resources, and it was less of the cool thing to kind of talk about these things.
Alex, I'm still not completely over it.
Wow. Dang.
I am so far removed from where I was, circa 2009, 2010. Okay. But I'm not completely over it. Yeah. I still have moments where you think about the what ifs. Yeah. Where you think about the if this person, if that person, but most importantly, what did I not do? Wow. What could I have done? Yeah. So I'll say this though, it took me probably about 2 to 3 years to really get out of that funk of just feeling the guilt. Yeah. The self-guilt of, man, you just didn't do enough, or you did this and you didn't make it. And wondering, even maybe subconsciously, how are people judging me now? What is the evaluation of me now? I know what the evaluation was when I was playing. Yeah. What's the evaluation of me now? It took me a couple of years to get out of it, but I'll tell you what helped me though, man. It was my network. Because I was able to leave college, go to the camps, show up in Buffalo, show up wherever, go to, work out for Edmonton Eskimos. It was the network I had built to step away and say, let me get into the workforce. Okay. It was my parents. Man. It was my peers. It was the people in college that I had networked with that were starting their careers, that we could talk about those things. But I'll tell anybody, athletes do a poor job of discussing their emotions and their feelings.
So to that,
Mark started
it's terrible because the coping mechanisms that they teach you in sports is push through the pain. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Don't show weakness. You know what I'm saying? Don't ever let your opponent know that you tired of you this or you that. Yeah. So those coping mechanisms that are taught in sports don't work outside of sports per se. Yeah. I agree. So we need to, and we have a responsibility, like you said, we have a responsibility to talk. And I tell my kids all the time, have emotions, but don't be emotional.
I like that.
Hey, he's dropped that before.
Have emotions, but don't be emotional. That's it.
When he said it the first time, I was like,
that's it. Yeah. So feel it. Be upset, be tired. Let's talk through that. Yeah. And then how do we work through that? You know what I mean? Because I was listening to Jason Wilson on the Pivot podcast, and it was something I was guilty of telling kids when they be like, oh, coach, I'm tired. I'm like, what you tired from? You a kid. You all you got to do is go to school, but like, that is their job. And like, they are sitting in a classroom and having to use that mental capacity to focus and to learn. And they're dealing with, like we deal with coworkers that we might not like, but wait, we got to get a job done. They're dealing with classmates and they're dealing with kids that might not like them. So they're dealing with peer pressure and identity issues. And so it's kind of dismissive to just tell them, oh, bro, you just a kid. Like, what do you mean you tired? You this? Right. Because they are having human emotions just like we have human emotions. And so it's not, you are tired. Like, you might be tired. And so is mom and so is dad. But this is how we persevere. Like, I took my middle son, Maverick, man, he's a character. And so one morning I was waking him up and he was in, like, I'm the energy person in the morning. Like, my wife really isn't, and he takes after her. They just kind of like, I got to get up. It's time to get the day going. But it ain't, I'm hopping out of bed. Let's rock and roll. So he was like, yeah, how are you not tired? And I was like, I am. And he was like, well, how are you still doing all the things that you're doing in the morning with this energy? I said, I just asked God to give me strength. I said, son, I'd be tired too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I promise you, I don't want to go to work today. You know what I'm saying? But there's things that we want and need out of life. And in order for us to get those things, we have to get there. Like, you hate school. And I tell kids all the time, school not fun. But in order to get through it, you got to go through it. So you got to go through first grade, second grade. So you want to graduate. So like, think about like, what's your end, like, what's the end? What are you trying to accomplish within that? And I forgot how we even got on this topic.
We talked about how athletes do a poor job of talking about their emotions. And you have to find, and I'll tell athletes who are getting ready to go through it, meaning make the transition from high school to college, because high school is the last time it's really just fun and games. It gets to a business now, especially with the NIL.
I feel like it's getting to business earlier.
It's really getting to a business early now. When you hit ninth grade, it gets serious. But those who have come out of it, those who are getting ready to come out of it, and that ball is about to stop, you got to find someone to talk to. You have to find something or someone to give you a foundation outside of that jersey. Sports is what you did, but it's not who you are. I've heard that quote before. I love that quote. And those people who keep on referring back to the greatest days of our lives, I get it. Because it was fun. It was exciting. You had goals every day. You were reaching goals every day. You were running out of tunnels and running onto courts with thousands of people cheering. And it was just something that's unmatched. There's nothing like college game day, football or basketball. There's nothing to match it. There's nothing in life that matches that level of excitement. But it's not who you are. Mm-hmm. It's not the end all be all. Yeah. And that ball stops bouncing. That's not the end of your story. It's really the start of your life post ball. And it's really the start of your life where you now control your destiny and what you do and how you do. But like I said, we do a poor job. And man, I think it's one of those each one teach one. We have to reach out to our friends, check on your friends, say what's up. I got a couple people I probably need to call this week just to say, hey, what's going on?
Yeah. So to your point, we have a responsibility to reach out, but we also have a responsibility to be honest, because you can reach out to me and hey Dom, how you doing, man? It's been a minute.
Doing fine.
I'm good.
Everything's good. Yeah.
I'm all right.
Surface level.
Surface level. You know what I mean? But it's really our responsibility to also be honest when somebody asks us a question.
100%.
Vulnerable enough. Because I even tell my guys, man, I'll text them sometime and be like, look, I'm praying for stuff you don't even talk about. Because I know there's probably still some stuff that you...
Some residue.
Yeah, residue that you... Because I tell people sometimes, like, there's some stuff that I'm just not ready to share with y'all. I talked to my therapist about it.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm just not ready to talk. But so, to your point, hey, get you a therapist, man. Get you a circle that you trust to say, hey, man, I'm struggling. I thought I was going to be an athlete, a professional athlete for X amount of years, make this amount of money, be good. Yeah. But that ended a lot sooner than I thought, whether that's injury, whatever that might be. Yeah. Because they say athletes are 2 times more likely to suffer from depression than regular people because of all of these identity things that was tied into being an athlete. Outside of therapy, outside of having a circle that you trust. And I think it's important for us to make sure we don't go share that information. Because I think in our community, we're so known to gossip. And we had a conversation about community.
Yes, sir.
Hey, if I shared once or twice, especially men, it's hard for us to just share in general. But then if I decide to open up and then you're irresponsible with the information that I share with you, then it's going to be hard for me to trust somebody else. Because we see it in relationships with men and women. Oh, he did this or my ex did this or my ex did that. And then they take it into the next relationship. You feel what I'm saying?
Carrying all that baggage over there with you. I'm taking all of it with me over here. You better not say that because she said that. And I ain't liked it then. I don't like it now. Yeah.
So we have a responsibility to reach out, but also be honest when somebody reach out to us. And then when they do share, be responsible with that information to hold on to it and not share with other people.
Man, this conversation is so important because we talk about the identity of people transitioning from sports to the real world. And one of the biggest thing is that macho alpha male thing. And I think we all 3 know because we've all played sports and been those guys. It's that I can't come off weak. I can't come off soft type of thing. Yeah. And I think that if you do the work and you stay grounded, that's the thing. If you stay grounded and understand that I don't have to be this off the field. You know, you look at the NFL and there was a time period when there were so many players in domestic violence situations.
Yes, absolutely.
And by no means is that okay. But being a former player, and when you talk to some of them, I see kind of why they did it.
You can connect the dots.
You can connect the dots because they weren't able to turn off the aggression because that's all they have been. Especially football. Don't get me wrong, I play football and basketball, so I see both sides. But that football aggression,
you gotta be a different person.
It's
in the weight room,
you gotta be a different
in
person.
the film session, on the practice field, and then ultimately in the game. And that aggression of alpha, tough, rough, and rumble and tumble, it's hard to turn off when I have to get into the real world where people are operating on a normal scale. And so all athletes need to realize that you don't have to wear that jacket outside of competition on the field.
Wow.
You can be competitive without being a rah-rah, alpha, aggressive guy. And being comfortable in your skin is something that I think we in our generation have not been taught to do until we got older.
And even now, because even now, I still look at some of the younger kids and they're dancing on TikTok and they're doing this before games.
And what we be saying? What we say?
Yeah.
What do we say?
I ain't gonna lie. I be saying, all that's soft. Right? All that dancing and twerking, all that dancing and twerking and hip shaking and everything.
Before I'm about to have to go annihilate somebody, you do it.
Hey, they ain't ready to play. That's why they lost.
Thank you.
They in the locker room doing all this switching and topping and hipping and hopping.
Yeah. But they're being themselves.
Yeah.
And they're okay with that. And like you said, like you do have to have a certain mentality when you step across those lines. And so it's just because we didn't grow up doing that. Who's to say that kid, Jared McCain, he gets on the court and kills.
Caleb Wilson.
And guess.
I heard the conversation just recently. He's going to be on the cover
with the painted fingernails.
You know, for me, like, I don't care. But let's be real, in that locker room, and I'll be honest about it, in the locker room, that's not well received. It's not well received. Now, he's looking to be the quarterback, so you kind of got to have a level of this. But he couldn't be an offensive guard and go over the same way.
No.
He couldn't be a defensive end, defensive tackle and go over the same way. Because the identity that is put on those players is a true in the trenches tough guy. Now we know wide receivers, DBs, quarterbacks,
divas.
They are considered divas. That's the tag. Now they're tough because playing the sport is tough. But they don't have to be as macho. And so you talk about the Jared McCains and you talk about the Caleb Wilsons. They're comfortable in their skin, and we as a people, as a community, especially in the Black community, got to be able to take those jacket of macho alpha male off. Now, me, I ain't gonna lie, like I was raised by alpha males, and so I wear
It's different. It's different.
But
it's different for me too.
I'm able to compartmentalize and understand that when I'm dealing with kids or parents or co-workers or my child, that's a different type of mentality. So to take that off, man. And if you're out there and you're a guy who's played and still dealing with it, man, listen, don't think you're alone, because we're all dealing with that.
Sure.
No matter if we've been out the game for a year, 10 years or whatever, we're all dealing with the same thing. So be comfortable to talk and share, because there's somebody out there like us who's been there and will listen and share our experience. And you would say, oh, this is just normal life transition. And it's hard to put that down sometimes. You know, it's hard.
That's some to-go plates.
I was about to say, we say you're gonna leave more than food on your plate. Alex, what you want the people to leave?
I think for me, man, just listening to all of this, and there was a key piece that Mark really kind of hit on, was just his upbringing and foundation. To me, I really feel like the fruit that you bear is directly tied to, you know, your soil and how you nurture that soil. And so he really talked about at every spot, the beginning, and, you know, his uncle and his dad. And it was very, you know, a big part of his story from beginning, middle, all the way to the end. And so I think that it's, you know, not just on the athletes, but us that are pouring into athletes, whether it's our kids or whether it's others, we need to be, we need to understand that concept, right? That we're trying to mold the next future men and women. Note I didn't say athletes. I said men and women, right? Because if I do that, I can, you know, be on my deathbed and be like, hey, I did. It's not going to be like, well, how many draft picks did Coach Alex have? I don't care about any of that.
Right.
Did I make productive young men and women that know how to, you know, have emotions but not be emotional, know how to be good character people, know how to look out for people, whether it's the president to the janitor. To me, that's what's most important, because everything will take care of itself. So when you get in those times, if you're an athlete, you know, understand, hey, where am I coming from? And then I feel like the people that's around them in this athletic community, the onus is on us to be adults and stop, using these kids for entertainment and for what they can bring to us in our pockets, and really try to be the people that's nurturing the soil that's around them. So that's mine.
100% right.
I'm gonna say mine, and then I'm gonna let you say yours, and we're gonna close up shop. To us who coach youth sports, and I've said it on before, we had a responsibility to coach the person more than the player, because I want you to be a great high character person, because like we said, that ball will stop bouncing long before your life ends. And so it's still the values that we're instilling in them prior to that. Like you sitting your son down, like, I don't care about us winning this game. If you gonna have that type of body language and attitude, come sit by me. He gonna see that, like, oh my gosh, like I need to get it together. And then I think as well, we need to ask our kids, do a better job of asking our kids, who do they see themselves as? Have them write it down. And I talked to my oldest son. I said, don't write. I don't want you to write what you think Dad wants to see. I'll even sometimes like, don't even make it by athletics. Like, who is Dalen as a person? You know what I'm saying? Ask them to have them write it down and talk through it. So, because like Maverick plays sports right now.
Yeah, man.
I only have him in the sports just from the team aspect. Like, I'm not trying to put this is how much I'm not even trying to push sports on him. We're in baseball season right now. My goal for him for the weekends are to make sure you put your top back on your Gatorade, son, every time. Know where your hat and glove is. And the reason why I tell him I want you to know where your hat and glove is all the time is preparation to go hit the field. Because if I'm not organized and it's like, oh my gosh, where's my hat, where's my glove? Now I'm not focused on making plays. And that's a life skill. Organizing your room, making your bed, knowing where stuff is. You're not waking up in the morning trying to figure out like, where is this shoe or where's that shoe? Because the night before, I put it where it's supposed to be. And so in the morning, I know this is what I'm wearing. Oh, I just got to get this down. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm preparing. I want you to prepare. And so asking our kids, who do they think they are? Not who the world thinks they are, because who do you think you are? And then when they decide that, tell them, all right, now go live with no regret. And what I try to tell my son is, you don't want to look back and be like, oh, I could have worked harder. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I tell them to leave it up. I'm about coaching effort. Like, you're not going to win every game, but you can go compete. And if you can look at yourself and say, man, I competed, I gave everything. They were just better than me today. Live with that, because you're not going to win all the time. What you got?
That's real, man. I think, the message I have that I try to spread every day through these youth sports, I try to spread through Marc Winston Enterprises, is what you touched on earlier, Alex. Understand that sports is just a part of your life, but it's not really a big time period compared to the rest of your life. So build that foundation of who I am outside of sports. And it takes you to be a forward thinker. It takes you to be a realist. To understand that the ball will stop bouncing. The air will come out of that ball. And what do I do for the rest of my life? But use sports as a tool to set you up for that success. Because like you said, it's the preparation, the organization, it's the tools that you develop to be a great player, a good player, a solid player, to make the team. Those tools transfer to the rest of your life. And so when Eddie Robinson says that football teaches the lessons of life, that goes to sports as a whole. Those who are in it right now, still active, start to think about what's next in life. Start to think about what happens afterward. Because even our biggest stars, Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan's, Charles Barkley's, Troy Aikman's, they all have jobs now. Their jobs might be around sports, but they have jobs. They filling out a W-2 just like the rest of us. So start to think about that. But then, most importantly, for those of us who have come out of it and those who may be struggling, be vulnerable enough to talk to somebody. Reach out to somebody. Reach out to me. Talk to a friend. Talk to a therapist. Whatever you need. Understand you're not going through it alone. Understand that millions of people have to face the fact of I'm not going to go pro and understand that it's okay because those lessons you learn, those abilities, capabilities, they transfer to other things that can be just as successful. Like that old NCAA commercial, 1,000 people are going to go pros and it's not going to be in sports.
Because I think a total 7 out of 100 go to college to play sports.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we're talking D1, then that goes down to like 2 out of, like it goes down to like 2%, less than 2%. Mm-hmm. And then out of that, less than 2 go to the next. So just think about how many people play sports and not going to go to college in the next level. Like you said. Where can the people find you, man?
So, man, listen, I'm working on my website right now for Marc Winston Enterprise LLC, but right now you can catch me on Instagram. That's _M.Winston. You can catch me on Facebook on just Marc Winston. That's Marc Winston with the C, Winston like the diamond. You can catch me on TikTok, Marc Winston Enterprises, man. So I'm out there. I'm everywhere, man. Just Marc Winston, man. You can find me. And if anybody knows me and knows someone that they think could benefit from talking to me or being around me, man, let's make that connection. Let's be there for each other. Let's build that community and truly reach out and help people who might need that help, who are suffering with silent stress.
Yes, sir. Hey, we appreciate y'all pulling up to the cookout.
Yeah.
It's time for y'all to go home now. Hey, we'll see y'all next time.
We out.
We out.